Hello there, YouTube friends, and welcome back to this walkthrough of Final Fantasy VI with me, jrpg. In the last episode, we climbed Mount Zozo and found Cyan at the top. He mentioned that Gau had returned to the Veldt, so that's where we're going next, but first I have to address a mistake I made that a commenter by the name of Appelic pointed out, which is that Doomgaze is not one of the 8 dragons. I thought he was like the cool, loner, goth dragon, but no, he's just his own thing. Obviously, I do a lot of research, and I really care about getting my information correct, but I'm human, and I make mistakes. Big shout out to Appelic for correcting me and making sure the right information is out there. And speaking of mistakes, I also forgot to visit the weapon shop in Miranda, so why don't we pop in there real quick and see what's going on. We don't actually want anything from there, which is sort of why it slipped my mind, but we might as well talk about it while we're here. Now, this is the first time we can buy gravity rods. The Swordbreaker is a pretty cool dirk that was supposed to grant a bunch of evade, but obviously that doesn't work, so we're going to skip that. And the Falchion is the strongest battle power-wise sword that you can buy, but we're not really going to be using the fight command all that much, so we're going to skip that. And then obviously there are these throwing items for Shadow, which is good to know about. Now, let's get out of here. And we'll just forget any of those things happened, right? Now, before we hit the road, I do want to check my Esper loadout, so let's go ahead and swap out Sabin because he is done with Phantom, and we're going to go ahead and throw Fenrir on him. More MP, why not? And then Edgar, we can switch over to Shote because he's done with Seraphim. There we go. And finally, Celeste can go ahead and throw Phantom on for a little more MP for her. Maybe I should have her on Fenrir, but it doesn't really matter all that much. Now let's get a move on. So, the Veldt is going to be right over this way. But we're going to find this point of interest first. And this is going to be the cave in the Veldt. Let's check it out. And look who it is, it's Interceptor. And we say, "You're coming with us?" I don't really know what that sentence is supposed to mean at all. But anyway, over here we can find a dead end. Just want to give you a little peek at that, and let's continue on. And we, of course, are going to run into the Toe Cutter. He's got 2,500 HP, is weak to fire and wind, absorbs ice, and can use Doomsickle to drain a little bit of HP and heal himself a little bit. We're primarily going to be running into those, so thankfully we won't have to sit for too many battles in here. Now, in here, we can find the Rage Ring. Now, this is a very good relic, but we don't have the person with us who can use it yet, so we're going to talk about this one a little bit later. Now, let's talk to these thieves over here. This one's going to say, "We 3 recently went hunting on the Veldt. We saw some weird kid there dressed all in hides, and we know who that is, don't we?" This one says, "For some reason, he never came near when all 4 of us were together." And now the game reason for that is that if you have 4 people, he wouldn't be able to join you, but they let you know that you need to have 3 to find Gau in here, which is helpful indeed. This guy's gonna say, "In a forest north of the Veldt dwells a frightful dragon. I suppose no human could ever defeat it, but oh how free we would be if someone could." Now you might be thinking he's referring to one of the 8 dragons, but he actually is not. There is a theory that he's referring to a specific forest, but that doesn't really make sense with what he's saying, so it's really just a mystery, but let me know if you have a theory what he's talking about. And finally, this guy's gonna say, "Reduce the number of people in your party if you want him to approach you." And we will do that a little bit later. Let's burn myself on the fire and get out of here. Now, if we head over this way, we can find a monster in a box. So this is Aloe Vera. He has 8,000 HP, he's undead, so he's weak to fire and pearl, and absorbs poison as usual. He uses Doom and Condemn to inflict wound, which is instant death, of course. And on the 8th turn, he will use Atomic Ray 8 times in a row, which, as a more powerful version of Fire 2, will kill us all. So we're just going to employ the usual tactics against undead and hope his doom spell doesn't work. And it did. Oh dear. Well, that's not a huge deal, because this battle doesn't provide any experience points, but I do strongly prefer to have everybody alive at the end of a boss fight if I possibly can. Although, I do already have a lot of attacks queued up here, so let's give it a try. Well, Cyan didn't make it through that one, but that's okay. And for our trouble, we win the Tiger Fangs, which is an incredible weapon for Sabin. It's his very best weapon, barring any elemental affinities you might want, but it gives +3 vigor, +2 speed, +2 stamina, and +3 to magic power. Let's go ahead and throw that on. Look at that. Nice. And let's go ahead and get Cyan alive again. Why not? And keep on going. Now we're going to want to go down the center. And let's head all the way down this way to find the Striker. This is the second best Dirk for Shadow, and it will proc wound just like his Assassin, but it is better. And finally, we meet the second monster, and here are the Rios. Rios has 7,191 HP, no weaknesses, and will attack 4 times on turn 4. So you can just use your most powerful defense-ignoring attacks to chew through his HP, and you should have no real problems with this guy. Although he does almost have as much HP as Aloe, which is kind of neat. No problems, I say. Boy, Cyan sure is dying a lot this time. Well, learned a few new things and Edgar leveled up. That is always nice, but it is not helping that Cyan keeps dying. The reason that's happening is because he's wearing the Genji glove and doesn't have a shield on. So he is taking a boatload of damage in addition to being in the front row. But it's going to be just fine. Let's keep going. Oh, we're going to want to flip this switch first and move that rock up there. And look who it is. It's Shadow with Interceptor. Let's see if we can find our way to him. All right, Cyan got a little beat up again. Now let's keep going. Now, the save point you can see here means there's trouble ahead, as usual, and I am actually going to go ahead and save this time. I don't think we're going to need it, but what's coming up is pretty serious, so let's get into it. An Interceptor calls us over, and we say, look at those wounds, but... it is Senor Behemoth. Now this guy is no joke. He's got 19,000 HP, is weak to fire and poison, absorbs ice, he can use Pearl, Ice 2, and Ice 3, and will add Meteo after 8,760 damage, and will counter the spells Pearl and Flare with Meteo. He will use Evil Claw in response to Reflect, which will deal damage and remove it, and you can imp him, but he will do double crits for a few rounds before removing the status, so it's not really the cheese maybe you'd hope it would be. Now, when I said this fight was serious, I meant it. We haven't really been grinding at all, so at our level, this is not going to be easy. We're going to do our best to keep our HP totals high, but he does have really powerful spells like this one. And so our main priority is going to be trying to keep Cyan alive. As you have undoubtedly noticed, we've been losing him a lot in this dungeon, so I'm going to do my best to not have him drop. And he's already down to 168 HP. That is not great. So let me see what I can do here. I don't have any cure spells, and I think I'm actually going to go with an elixir and just hope it comes down in time. Right, my cure went off, so that helps. And another Ice 3, come on. It can't touch Celeste, but it dropped Cyan immediately. This is beginning to get a little bit embarrassing. Keeping him alive has become a chore. And one of the worst things that happens if you play these games a lot is you'll drop your Phoenix down like this, and then the character will get killed before you can cast a cure spell on them. That is just the worst feeling. But our elixir came out on time this time, so we are back in business now. And I think I'm going to change tactics with Cyan here. Let's start doing the Quadra Slam. I think it's just a little bit more fun than sitting through the Tempest animation over and over. And it may even work out to more damage, so let's see. Oh yeah, about 400 each. That's about 1,200 damage. That's pretty good. Oh, him doing a regular attack there is great. Did we win? And it says enemies coming from behind. Another monster appeared. And it's Senor Behemoth again, but undead this time. So first things first, it looks like now it's a back attack, but it doesn't actually change your row, it just changes it visually. This time around he's got 19,000 HP again, is weak to fire and pearl, absorbs poison, but he no longer will counter the spells Pearl or Flare, but he can use Doom and Meteor. He can also use Hypnogas to cause sleep, and then he will attack the affected party member 4 times in a row. So despite the fact that his weaknesses are a little bit different this time around, I'm just going to continue using fire, so we won't really have to change tactics at all. It shouldn't be too much trouble unless we lose Cyan again. And of course we do. Okay, that's a little bit problematic. And I will go ahead and see if I can't get him back up again. Let's go ahead and use the Phoenix down. Okay, I'm very glad that missed. Now this Cure 2 should come down before Senor can get another action. Alright, we're back in business, and that's great because I did want to mention something that I really like about this fight, and that is, it is, at least to me, definitely a reference to the Milan or Scarmiglione fight from Final Fantasy IV. You'll remember him as the Fiend of Earth, but he does this same pattern, where you have one fight with him and then he returns behind you as an undead one. And I just love that reference, it fills me with joy. Alright, we did it. That got a little hectic, but we're okay. And for our trouble, we're going to get the Behemoth suit, which is very, very good. It's an armor for Strago or Realm, and it will grant +6 to Vigor, Speed, Stamina, and Magic Power. But we say we can't do anything for her here. Let's take her back to Thamasa using the airship. Now you might be thinking, does this mean Shadow's a girl? But no, it doesn't. It's actually a mistake where if you hadn't saved Shadow from the floating continent, or hadn't waited for him, Realm would be here instead, and it is quite possible that Ted Woolsey did not know that, and so met Realm here and translated this purely as her, but believe me, Shadow is in fact a man. Now let's go. And we're going to say, you were having a nightmare. You came to fetch me, but I won't be coming back. I want you and the girl to live in a peaceful world. And now that's going to be the first of Shadow's dreams. We're going to say let's rest here for a moment, but we're not going to do that. However, we're going to get a few more of those dreams, and that's going to sort of fill in Shadow's backstory. You probably already have a guess, but we'll see more of those as we go along. We're going to ask Shadow, are you okay? Shadow says no need to worry, it's just a scratch. Also, he's going to stand guard, so you just relax. And of course he will, because Interceptor is such a good boy. Alright, let's get out of here. And now while we're in Thamasa, we want to talk to everybody, and let's start with the mayor. He's gonna say it's only been a year since the world changed, but it feels like forever. It sure does, doesn't it? This woman says, for the first time in 50 years, Ebbott's Rock is above water. Head north of town if you want to see it. Now, we can't do anything with that yet, but we will want to keep that in mind for sure. Now, we've already seen this dialogue about waking alone in Doma Castle and demons would come for you, but we do want to keep that in mind as well. This guy says, I saw a monster floating in the sky. It looked just like a fish. Now, I don't think Doomgaze looks anything like a fish. I assume that's what he's referring to, but thanks anyway, I suppose. This kid says all the fun places are gone now, and that is probably true. Let's pay our respects to General Leo. And now there are some mildly interesting things going on in the armory, so why don't we check that out quick. Now there's a Da Vinci brush for Realm, but we're not going to worry about that now. Gravity Rod, Pearl Rods, but the Ninja Stars are probably the most interesting thing here, where they are better than Shurikens, but much more expensive. We will want some of those, but I'm not going to worry about that for now. And at the armor shop, we can find a couple of cool things. There's a Circlet, which is going to grant +2 Vigor, +1 Speed, +3 Stamina, and +4 Magic Power. We are definitely going to get one of those for Celeste right away. The Dark Hood is not very good. It's got one more magic defense than the Circlet, but the Circlet is just better in every other way, and it's also 500 gil cheaper. And the Light Robe is fine, but there's better armor already on sale in Miranda, so we're not going to worry about that right now. We already have some Diamond Vests. And before we leave, the last thing I want to check out is the Relic Shop. And there are two relics that we don't actually have any of. There is the Fairy Ring, which is going to protect against poison and dark. I don't really care about that all that much. And then the Guard Ring, which will cast Safe, which will have you take 1/3 less physical damage. But we don't need that at all, so let's just skip it for now. But before we hit the road, we're going to want to immediately head back inside. And when we do, we will find this out. He's going to say if you're looking for the man dressed all in black, he left for the Colosseum. And that's where we're going to head next. And that's going to be right this way. And we're already there. Look at that. The world is square indeed. Now, I don't want to get too deep into how this place works. We're going to find a little bit about it now, but what they're going to tell you is not really the whole story. But anyway, let's talk to everybody. This guy says the more precious the item wagered, the better your prize will be. That's like sort of true, I guess. This guy says this is Dragon's Neck Coliseum. Champions from all over the world come here to fight for prizes. And look at this, it's Ultros. He says, look at me, I'm a receptionist. Now you better watch what you bet, or Master Chupan will just come and take it from you. Now that's a clue that if you bet like garbage items or items that don't really upgrade, things basically you're just not supposed to bet, Chupan will come and just sneeze you out of the fight. This guy says battles at the Colosseum are one-on-one. That is true. And this guy says, I'm an Imperial Trooper. Probably the last of them. I have some valuable information for you. Talk to the Emperor twice. Use this when you found the place where the Emperor hid a secret treasure. Yeah, that's not like a great clue because we have no idea what he's talking about, but we will later. We'll just keep it in mind for now. If he would kindly get out of the way. And in here is Siegfried. He says, someone's been pretending to be me. Don't be fooled. Now, there's all kinds of crazy theories about what Siegfried might mean by this, but I just assume maybe there's an imposter, and that's really all there is to it. It's inexplicable why he has his own room here, though. Now, we're going to refuse to spend 400 gil, but there are a few people in here we want to talk to. And we ask, Ultros is your receptionist? And this guy says he couldn't pay his debt, so I put him to work. I figure he'll be here about another 100 years, so Ultros is now in indentured servitude, but he kinda has it coming. The bartender says creatures from all over the world come here to compete. This guy says there's some guy here who's dressed in all black. He's looking for a blade known as the Striker. Well, fortunately, we have one of those. And this guy says, get a load of the crowds, and when we get in the fight, you will see there are pretty big crowds indeed. Okay, so let's talk to this guy. He says, care to fight in the Colosseum? And we will ask him for an explanation, please. He's gonna say we fight for items, etc. here. First, choose the thing you want to wager. Next, your opponent will appear. Choose someone from your party to fight this opponent. A one-on-one auto battle will then take place. The item you wagered covers your participation fee. If you win, you'll be rewarded with an even better item. That's all there is to it. Now, that is not all there is to it, but it does mention that it is an auto battle, so you're just a spectator. You don't really get to make any decisions at all. So it's almost tailor-made for save scumming, and I really don't like this system at all. However, there are going to be a few unique items that we're going to want to get here, so I will be coming back here to get those and probably be totally miserable. So let's go ahead and fight in the Colosseum, but actually, I need to arrange my items so I can even find the Striker. And we'll go ahead and fight. And let's find the Striker now. Here it is. And there's Shadow. He's going to be our opponent. I don't know why it says Chupon underneath him, but there you go. And we're going to pick Sabin. And now I get to listen to Shadow's cool song, but all I get to do is sit here and watch. And hope that Sabin takes reasonable actions. And Fire Dance is going to wreck him, so that's just perfect. Bodied. And we get the Striker back. We don't even get anything, but we do get a new party member. And we ask, what are you doing here? And Shadow says, the only thing I know how to do is fight. And we say, why not come with us? And he replies, well, first I need to see how far I can get here. But he does not do that, he just joins us immediately. Alright, let's get going. And I think we can hop on the airship and go ahead and switch our party up, because we're going to go look for Gao now. So, let's grab Shadow. He's not going to say anything at all. And we are going to change party members, and let's go ahead and use the party we used when we first found him. That looks pretty good to me. And we are not wearing the sprint shoes, which is going to be a major issue. So, let's go ahead and unequip everybody not with us. Go ahead and hit Optimum. That looks fine to me. And we're going to go ahead and give him the sprint shoes if I can find them. Probably closer to the top, right? There we go. And let's go ahead and do like a hero ring if we've got one. Sure, that is perfect. And we will give Shadow... Can't do Bismarck. Shoat looks good to me. And with that, we're ready to hit the road. And let's head to the Veldt. And we remember where it is, of course. But we can just land anywhere. And let's go ahead and grab Gao. Just some Humpties. Fire Dance ought to take care of these guys. And hopefully he's quick. Perfect. And Yes, it's Gao. He's our friend, and we're gonna travel together. Now I'm going to go ahead and hit optimum, but I'm not really going to bother with anything else because I don't think we're going to take him with us after this, at least not right away. I will definitely be coming back here to do some Veldt grinding and get him some more rages, but for right now, I want to go right here, this mysterious house that is the only dwelling on the Veldt. And the aged man says, "Oh, hello again. Yep, you were tops." And Sabin says, "That's why we..." And the aged man says, "Quick, fix that chair. Then you can use it to reach the roof." Sabin says, "You don't suppose... Gao, could this be your father?" Gao says, "Ooh." Sabin says, "Come on, Gao. It's true, right?" And Gao tries to pronounce father? Sabin says, "Yes, this is definitely your father." Now, I don't know how he comes to that conclusion. Perhaps it's a resemblance, or he's the only person that really lives anywhere near the Veldt. But Sabin is right. Gao says, "Gao's father? Ooh, Gao." Sabin says, "Right, let's go tell your father the news. He needs to know you're his son." Sabin says, "Just a minute. We can't just go in there with you looking like this." And he says, "I know. Let's go to Jadur and give you a makeover." And now we're going to try to teach Gao some table manners. Sabin says, "No, Gao, don't eat with your fingers." Gao says, "Yao." Sabin says, "Don't say yao when you mean yes." Gao says, "Ho!" And Sabin just drops his head. Now we're off to the clothing store, and Celeste says, "Which is it gonna be? Oh, this is nice, but do you think it becomes Gao?" "Well?" And Celeste says, "What?" And we reply, "Nothing." And Sabin says, "This is it." And Gao says, "Me go to funeral?" And Sabin says, "Perfect. Functional yet sporty. Done." And we say, "I don't think..." Setzer says, "Phew, completely lacking in fashion." "Excuse me, sir. Could you order some clothes like the ones I'm wearing?" "Impossible. Setzer, how dare you think of sticking him in that kind of getup?" But eventually, we do find a nice-looking suit, and Sabin says, "Okay, Gao? Now, any father would be glad to have a son like you." And Gao says, "Ho." And in we go. Sabin says, "Excuse me, sir." And the aged man says, "Who in blazes are you?" "Oh, the repairman." Sabin says, "Sir, you had a son, right? You with me?" Aged man says, "Son?" And Sabin says, "Right. The truth is, he's alive. Come here, Gao." Gao says, "Father." The aged man says, "What is this? What's with this son business? I never had a son." "But now that you mention it, I once had a terrible dream. In it, a demon child was born." I grabbed the creature and rushed off to the Veldt with it. It was crying like crazy when I arrived on the Veldt. Sabin says, "But sir..." The aged man says, "I left the child there, and without looking back, I turned and started to run." Sabin says, "I'm trying to tell you." And the aged man says, "Suddenly the crying stopped. I turned around and saw a frightful monster. Hideous. Still gives me the shakes." And Sabin says, "I give up." And the aged man says, "But you, young man, your parents must be proud of you. I still have dreams of that demon child." Frightening. Sabin says, "Why, you old... He's completely lost his mind. Gao, I'm gonna clobber him." But Gao stops him, and he says, "Wow, ooh." Sabin says, I'm sorry. Gao says, Father, alive, happy. And I really love Gao's little tragic backstory there. It's so good. And the way it starts off funny with the makeover and trying to teach him table manners, and then you realize that his father is just a maniac who abandoned him, but he still won't let any harm come to him because that's just the kind of person Gao is. And that's just wonderful. And that's going to do it for me. That's all the time I've got for today. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next Final Fantasy Friday.